And there she is. She's about to die. It's already happened. I've heard that people who get stabbed, sometimes they don't even realize it. She doesn't seem to realize it. It feels like they were punched, and she's whimpering, and they don't come to her aid. There are 3 people back there who blow her off. They know something bad has happened. That guy is on the other side of the train at this point, and every step of the way, he's talking about his motive. I got that white girl. I got that white girl. Well, that is ugly, but I'm not surprised. When I saw it, I'm not surprised that there was a racial component. No. I would say, though, that that's very important, don't you think? I mean, this is a hate crime. She was stabbed because of things she can't control. The color of her skin. She was born that way. This is very, very relevant. This is very, very important. We're talking about it. 1 or 2 other, possibly, networks. Maybe this component. Social media, portions of it. CBS News decided this was not newsworthy. No coverage. NBC News, this is where, like, you know, the big evening broadcasts, yeah, they talked about it, but the whole issue of race, which everything seems to be about race, except if it's involving a white victim and a black assailant. Same thing for ABC News. It's a pretty big component, don't you think? I know it is, and I believe I know why it happened. Because of somebody who offered false hope for one moment, Barack Hussein Obama, the 44th President of the United States. He ignited this crap on purpose, this racial hate where there was no racial hate. America had come a very long way. And with him, wow, that's like cherry on top. Race relations are almost as good as you can get. But he destroyed them on purpose so he could retain power. And I believe I can prove it. In 2008, when he was elected, he had overwhelming support from the African American community. Well, that's 2011. You can see there, black voters don't like him that much anymore. 58% approve, 42% disapprove. Now let's compare the number to 2008 or 2009, if you don't mind. Okay. Got the other one? Look, it was at 92% when he got in there. 92%. And it dropped. It dropped to 58, 42. Now, you can't win. You can't win if you're Barack Hussein Obama and a Democrat and your approval with black people goes down that much. So they needed something. They needed something fast. They needed a gimmick, and they needed an illusion, and they found one. Trayvon Martin. The Trayvon Martin hoax. It was a hoax. This sweet, innocent boy on his way to get Skittles, and George Zimmerman was just hunting black children. It's all wrong. It's all a lie. This man, this kid, was a menace to George Zimmerman. Almost killed him. It was clearly self-defense. You got to look at this, man. You can look it up. It was done for political reasons. Barack Obama was losing black support. So they manufactured a race incident when there was no race. You can read about it or watch the movie, The Trayvon Martin Hoax, by our friend Joel Gilbert.
The shooting death of Trayvon Martin was ground zero for racial division in America.
Trayvon Martin was killed for wearing a hoodie, quite frankly.
I decided to produce a film on how the case affects American politics to this day. I used forensic handwriting analysis and even DNA to confirm what I had uncovered. That diamond was switched for a fake witness in a murder trial in the most stunning hoax in American judicial history, a hoax whose consequences have been tragic beyond anyone's imagination.
Amazing, right? You think about it, Trayvon Martin. That's where Black Lives Matter, the organization was born because of Trayvon Martin, which was a hoax. And Joel Gilbert takes us through it brilliantly, the poll numbers and everything, and what's the result? Mitt Romney loses. Granted, he was a bit of a born loser, right? I mean, he was good at losing. I remember he was so effusive about Barack Obama's daughters the night he lost the election. He was doing some virtue signaling right there. The numbers are bleak and hard to really spin. Black on white crime in America. Look at that. White on black crime in a given year. This is a problem. But people feel uncomfortable. They've been shamed. 20 years ago, you could speak frankly about matters, especially crime. Bowling for Columbine, very flawed movie in so many respects, especially about gun control, and the social observations about what was happening in America. Somehow it was bad to point out if the police were looking for a suspect who was on the loose, you really shouldn't say that person's race. But 20 years ago they did. Watch.
How come whenever I'm out here, though, I turn on the 11 o'clock news and, I hear, tonight in South Central, drive-by shooting, or tonight in South Central, this, that, or whatever. I mean, they're not making that up, are they?
No, they're not making it up, but they're choosing what they're covering.
Now, the suspect is a black male in his 20s. We are told he has a large afro, sideburns. He was wearing a silver chain at the time.
Police say the suspect is a black man, 6'1", 160 to 180 pounds, about 35 years in age.
The suspect is a black male, aged 16 to 18.
The suspect is African-American. Police
say that
a black man.
All right, but can I see those numbers again? They weren't making it up, all right? And those were like active hunts for fugitives who fit a description. They rearranged society, Barack Obama, academia, media, culture, all kinds of ways that when you talk about crime now, you can't mention black, but you must and should mention white in the most disparaging, contemptible way you can muster.
Here's the suspect, okay? He is a 21-year-old white man.
This 21-year-old white male mass murderer.
The suspect arrested 150 miles away after a chase is a white man.
You get it? And it goes on and on and on like that. We've all seen it. Anyway, they rearranged society to make Obama powerful, to make Biden powerful, to marginalize and cancel MAGA and unfairly tag it as a racist white supremacist. This has been happening for a long time. Let's go back, we'll start with Breonna Taylor. That was not racist. There's not one hint of racism in the police communications. But of course, say her name, Breonna, that became the thing, right? That became a thing, but it was a fake thing. Just like Dante Wright, who felt like, I don't know, he didn't have to, he could run away from the cops as he's being arrested. Yeah, no, there was not a hint of racial animus. Cops made a mistake, but there was no racism there. And it goes on like this. Michael Brown and the lie, hands up, don't shoot. Never said that. The Obama Justice Department had to say it was a justified shooting, but that was, well, after all the riots and carnage that had already been achieved. Who else? Eric Garner, another case, not at all racist. Nothing about it racist, but it became emblematic of police racism. They're crazy. We can go on like this. Philando Castillo, remember that? Not a racist component. They had to make it up. They made it all up, and especially the piece of resistance, George Floyd. Not racist. He wasn't killed by that cop. It's another hoax. It's another hoax, and you got to watch The Destruction of Minneapolis. You can find it, The Fall of Minneapolis. It's online. Fantastic film. You'll find out all about how they changed the autopsy report to fit a political narrative. It's incredible what happened. And it was all the master of this stuff, the one who initiated it, was Barack Obama. Why? Because he was conflicted about his own situation. Those voices within the black community arguing that I wasn't ready, or I was too radical, or too mainstream, or not quite black enough. Yeah, that's his problem, not our problem. You had to write books about it. You can't just, He had to wreck society so he could keep his power and his prestige and his status and his money, right? This never happened to him, but boy, it sure got some laughs, right, when he was trying to make America fall in love with him.
Senator Obama, how do you address those who say you're not authentically black enough? Hey, well, not my question. Jordan's question.
You know, when I'm catching a cab in Manhattan in the past, I think I've given my credentials.
And something that never happened. But it made him, I don't know, it helped him achieve power. It helped him, but as soon as he got the power, he let his true colors fly.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.